Hey everybody, this is Vril with something a little different. Something I've wanted to do for a long time was an AI-only observer mode game, basically the same method I use to record time-lapses, except watching and narrating as the game plays out in real time. Some of you might remember I did some live streams a few months back where I did just that, and it was great to be able to discuss the game as well as check out parts of the map that might otherwise have been ignored in the time-lapse format. I do want to stress though, in case anyone is worried, these are not going to replace the channel's time-lapse videos. I will still be releasing at least one time-lapse per week, as I've been doing for the past year. So if you might have guessed from the video title, we are going to be running the extended timeline from the World War II start date, and the plan is to make the series span 100 years. That will set us up for ending the series in the year 2040. With the series basically being a pilot gauging interest for this format of videos, I have a challenge for everyone. If each video in the series gets over 10 likes, I'll continue the series for an additional 100 years, ending the series instead in the year 2140. So the major powers include Germany, seeking a return to its former glory, Great Britain, who is trying to maintain its globe-spanning commonwealth, France, with their colonies in Africa and the Middle East, Fascist Italy, who are now just pursuing their colonial ambitions in North Africa and Ethiopia, the Soviet Union, looking to spread communism to its neighbors and around the globe, an isolationist United States that lies in wait, and the Empire of Japan, who have already invaded Manchuria and are now invading the Republic of China. Since this is EU4, the war is certainly going to diverge from its historic event line, so let me know in the comments below which of the countries you're expecting to do well, or is there someone else you expect to rise up? Someone like Sweden, for instance. You can certainly never count them out in a Paradox game. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so getting started, I wanted to have a look at the top militaries of the world. So the largest military is the Chinese, followed by the US, followed by Germany and the Soviet Union, and the Japanese rounding up the top 5. I will take note that the Germans, while they have a very large military, do not have very much manpower to work with here, so I'd expect within the year or two of the World War going on that, they'll be completely out of manpower at that point, and they'll have to reduce the size of their military from that point on. So let's have a look at the wars that are completely started out. We've got the Winter War, which is between the Soviet Union and Finland. That is a little early from the historic timeline. It should be, I think, in December of 1939. Of course, we've got the Second World War between the British, the French, and the Polish, and also the British Commonwealth as well, and the Second Sino-Japanese War between the Japanese and the Republic of China. So let's have a look at the militaries here, although I think we actually need to just get the speed going a little bit for everybody to spawn up. We've got, looks like, Manstein out here. We've got Guderian over here for the Germans. We've got, looks like the French have a couple stacks. Well, only one major stack that will go up against the Germans here, and it is beyond its size and is taking attrition. I mean, all of these armies in this war are going to be taking attrition. But I think from what I've seen in the past, the Germans will try to capture a bunch of provinces here in Poland, and then they'll go head on over to France and start sieging all of their provinces. But they won't completely finish off the Polish, and they'll leave a few over there. I've done this run through a couple times just to make sure everything was working, and I did have a couple of crashes, so hopefully I've got sorted all of those out. But that is what I saw happen almost every time. The Germans would capture maybe half of Poland and then head on over to France. Obviously they're not going to wait for any Sitzkrieg or anything like that. Looks like the Germans just won a battle against the French there, and the French are in a shattered retreat. Looks like they're heading back to Marseille. Looks like the same deal was going on for the Polish possibly over here as well. Now, since we have the Winter War up here, looks like it's going well for the Soviets. I had no question there. That's how that was going to go. Here we've got a 3-star general for the Soviets. Not really sure why somebody like Manstein would not be a 3-star general. I believe that Patton is a 3-star general. And we've got Montgomery over here. He's not 3 stars either. And of course, Montgomery's just going to be sitting here in London, I was going to say. It might be Kent, but it looks like it's London. Unfortunately, how the AI works in this, it doesn't seem like the British help out the French from this initial invasion. It's basically the British and the Commonwealth tell the French, you're on your own out here. So it looks like, let me just check here. I see an Italian stack attacking the French. Did they join in the war, or are they independently taking this on? So we've got the Italian-British imperialist war, okay. And actually we've got an American-Dutch war as well. Imperialist war with the Netherlands. And the Portuguese-Angolan War of Independence, so a couple Portuguese colonies are seeking independence, it looks like. Let me just sort these by war score. That's usually what I'll do. And we've got a Spanish reconquest here of Chile. So apparently the Spain... Now that... I think that the Spanish could probably do, because obviously they're beating up on their South American weaker friends there. So it looks like the French might actually pull off this battle against the Italians, just like everything happens in, say, Hearts of Iron. The Italians can never really capture much of anything. Yeah, it looks like the Italians lost that one, even though that French army had probably been beaten up pretty bad by the Germans here. Okay, now we've got a little bit better Italian stack. Should be able to take this French stack out pretty easily, I'd say. Just check on the Winter War up here. Okay, it looks like the Winter War did end, but I don't know if the Soviets, did they have this at the beginning? Maybe they did, I don't know. I'd have to review the footage. Alright. Okay, so the Italians are also capturing a few of these provinces. Anything else going on? Doesn't look like anything has happened in this American-Dutch imperialist war. Sino-Japanese. Let's have a look at what's going on over there. Now, I wouldn't expect for the Japanese to do all that well over here, because there were quite a few of those Chinese. They have so much forces that even if their technology level is under the Japanese, I really don't think that the Japanese, I think they'll just be overwhelmed by the Japanese, but we'll see if I'm wrong. I kind of hope that I'm wrong. I'd like to see something different go on here. Like I said, I've played this out a couple times, and every time actually the Chinese fought off the Japanese, so we'll see. We will see. I'm going to bump up the speed a little bit. We're doing pretty good so far. I was getting some major lag spikes when I was working on this before, so we'll see if I get any of those. Yeah, it looks like the French are completely routed, and the Italians also helping themselves, really. Italian-British imperialist war. So it does look like the British are in that war because they're allies of the French. So yeah, I mean, in the comments, you guys can let me know if there's other areas you want to have a look at. That's the point to all of this, is that, you know, you're going to be able to talk to me while I'm recording this, rather than when I do a time-lapse, it's done and dusted and nothing can be figured out at that point. So do have some noble rebels rising up in Turkey, and they look like they're okay. It looks like they might be able to pull that off. Down here in Italian Maghreb, here in Libya, looks like the French and the Commonwealth, some Commonwealth nations are capturing a couple Italian provinces here. And it looks like those noble rebels actually defeated the Turkish military there. Okay, well, at the end of the year here, I will go ahead and pause this and see what other wars might be taking place. We did have that American-Dutch imperialist war, so much for the Americans being isolationist. They look like they're going on the offensive early in this game. I mean, they probably should. They have one of the largest militaries out there. Looks like the Germans just about captured almost everything here. A few of them are occupied by the Italians. Yeah, it looks like the French are done here, so I was going to have a look at any other wars that might be going on. The Sino-Japanese War is actually going very well. I expected this war score to... It started at 30, I want to say it was like 32, 33. I was expecting it to go down from there. And we've got the World Wars going decent for the Germans. I would expect for the French to peace out independently from the Germans here. At some point, that seems to be what happens. In this, we've got a Panama, Costa Rica war. We've got this Portuguese. They look like they're succeeding when their independence bid. The Italians a little bit up, but not too much going on. And I would expect this American-Dutch imperialist war is probably... Let's see if I can figure out where that's actually taking place. I would expect it to be over in Asia, if anything's going on here. Yeah, it looks like anything captured. I'm not seeing anything captured by the Americans, but I do at least see some American ships. Okay, here is one. Sula is occupied by the Americans. Okay, let's head back to Europe, though. And I'm keeping an eye on this noble stack over here of Turkish rebels. Seem to be taking it to the Turks over there. Okay, accidentally didn't realize that we were still paused, sorry. Was expecting things to be progressing, and I was watching for movement, and nothing was happening. It's usually a good sign that you're paused. Looks like Hitler is leading armies here in France. I guess he knows that he should know that terrain around that Maginot Line from the First World War when he was a corporal. Okay, we've got the Polish are fighting off. Don't think that's going to go very well for them. The Panamanians look like they're about to finish off, who was it? The Costa Ricans? And it looks like the Spanish are about to take, I think it's just a one province war down there in Chile. Let's see if we can go down there and have a look what's happening here. Yeah, so the Spanish are probably going to piece this out real quick here. Yeah, there we go. They just did that. Okay, so I think all of France, all of Poland is now occupied by the Germans, a little bit by the Italians, but I still think the Italians are losing that war because they're completely losing out of their, their area in Libya here, so. Looks like the Turkish are finally taking back from those noble rebels that they were having issues with. Yeah, I think this extended timeline mod, when you get to these kind of dates, these, late 1900s and to the present day, that there's so many units in the game that the game really, really chugs. But I think it seems to be, I basically turned down some of my graphics settings that I have. I mean, I have a really good machine. I've got a what is it, a Skylake Intel Skylake 6700K, so that's a pretty good processor. I just built this machine, I don't know, 2-3 months ago now, but my video card could be better. I think it's a 680 Ti. I don't know what the latest cards are out there on video cards, but I wanted to wait a generation before I upgraded that. Okay, looks like the Japanese are up to 76, so this is going quite a bit different than I expected. And the 2 games I ran before, they just completely got demolished. But I will say that that was because the Soviets actually declared war on the Japanese, and actually the Americans declared war on the Japanese as well. So the Japanese were fighting the Chinese, the Soviets, and the Americans, all within, well, I guess it is December of 1941, but all within, 2-3 years of the start of this game. So now, right now, they only have to contend with the Chinese. Okay, so all the way up to 90. We've got anything else started out here? We've got El Salvador. That might have been going on for a while. Yeah, El Salvador and Guatemala was going on for a little while. Nothing going on with this American-Dutch war. It was kind of pointless. Here it is. So this is what I was mentioning. The Soviet change government form in Japan has been declared. So that'll bring in the Manchukuo and the Italians to help out the Japanese. They started out as allies there. So we'll see how that affects things between... Looks like the Soviets are moving their forces over to Japan. They probably want those northern islands there. So it looks like the Germans have pieced out independently, just like I was saying, pieced out independently with France. Now, the Italians were still at war with the French, independently again, and we've got some French revolutionaries in France, so France is going to be in for a little ride here between the Italians and their own revolutionaries. And we'll see if the Italians can figure out how to get their troops from Italy to Libya here, and if they're able to take this back. Otherwise, we might have a British Maghreb show up right here. Or French Maghreb might suddenly become a little bit larger here. At the beginning of the next episode, I'll have a look at the army sizes of all of the major players here and see what's going on in that respect. I don't want to pause things too often. I like to look at what wars are going on, but wow, what's going on here? We've got Chinese particularists have risen up. I don't know if that's going to go well for the Chinese or for the Japanese. We'll have to see how that plays out. Yeah, and we've also got... The Italians are going a little crazy here. Getting into a lot of wars here they really shouldn't be in. Got Manchukuo fighting off the 2 3-star generals there. Zhonghu Yan, or Yan, something like that. I'm going to butcher all of the names, because I'm like moving around the map, and we've got Joseph Stalin fighting here, leading armies. Yeah, so the Soviets have captured a couple provinces there in Manchukuo. It doesn't help that the Japanese are also this red color, so it'll be hard to tell who's captured what. So we do have some provinces are captured by the Chinese particularists here. Let's have a look at what's going on back in Europe. I don't think anything's going on between the British and the Germans. I think that they, for the most part, won't be able to figure out how to send their armies to one another. I think, like in the case of Spain, they declared war on Chile, and they were able to capture this area. I think when it comes to a very large army capturing a much smaller country's against that military, the AI can figure out how to do it. But when it comes to, these giant armies between the Germans and giant army of the British, they can't figure out how to, send the transports across the ocean to do that. So that's EU4 for you. Does look like the Italians have captured Cyprus there. And it is January 1st of 1943. Alright, well, it does look like we're out of time for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this one, and please consider hitting the like button if you did, as it really helps out the channel. So I'll see you guys next time.